last year, I was I was having a problem with my eyesight. And so I was like having a problem seeing. So I thought I attributed it to age. And so I was like, man, I'm probably losing my eyesight.
You're not old enough to be losing your eyesight.
Yeah. And so I go to an optometrist and I'm getting my eyes checked. And he's like, we need to take a scan of your eyes. And he noticed some hemorrhaging on the eyelids. And so he's like, hey, I'm noticing some hemorrhaging here. Let me go check your blood pressure. So he checks my blood pressure. It's pretty high. It was 177. And he was like, we're going to have to stop this. And you're going to need to go to urgent care. So I'm like, this is weird. So he sends me to urgent care. I go to urgent care. Urgent care is like, yo, you're at 190. You need to go to Medical City right now. So I'm like, what? This is weird. So I go pick up my girlfriend and we're going to the hospital, and I remember it vividly. I was like, don't worry about it, babe. We're just going to go. They're going to give me some meds and I'll be fine. This was on May 15th, 2023. They checked my blood pressure there. It's 245 over 120. And they were like, we're going to keep you overnight. And that turned into 3 days and 2 nights. MRIs, CAT scans, and then a biopsy. And the biopsy revealed that I had stage 4-5 kidney disease, IgA nephropathy. So it was based off of hypertension, unchecked hypertension. Huh. When they say high blood pressure is a silent killer, it's very true. And so if anything, I'm more so an advocate now for people to really get that looked at, make sure you check your blood pressure, weekly. But I remember going to see my dad, who is a physician. And this is years before, and he would always tell me, you need to get this checked up. I didn't have insurance at the time, but I've always been scared of doctors.
Because you had high blood pressure regularly, or
my family has had a history of high blood pressure.
And is it because of this? Is this condition
It's because of that. It's because it was unchecked. In fact, the doctor told me, had I come to him 2 years before, that I probably wouldn't be in the stage that I'm in right now. And so, during that period, it rocked my world, man.
I bet that's
because I could get it if I was stage 3, but to be stage 5.
That means you need a new kidney, right?
Yeah, so give you some context. My kidney function was 9% when I was diagnosed.
Wow.
And so it was around that time between then in May to I would say August that I was trying to figure out, I was like a scientist trying to figure out what I needed to do to remedy this.
Yeah.
I knew that with kidney disease, you're never going to heal yourself, especially at the stage that I was in.
Right.
So what I did is I started reaching out with the help of a friend of mine. I found a plant-based doctor who I basically went through this program of learning how to eat plant-based. And what I was learning, I saw a lot of changes. So big shout out to Eric Payton from In Vivo. He basically covered all the costs for that program. But during that time, I was working with a doctor by the name of John McDougall. Mm-hmm. Look him up. He's famous. Unfortunately, he passed. But he's a doctor that's been one of those guys that's hold off on the meds. It's your diet that you need to work on.
Been holistic.
Holistic, yeah, in a lot of ways. And so I did that. And I worked with Dr. McDougall. Dr. Lim is a guy that he works under. Look him up too.
For sure.
But just learning how to do that, my numbers went from like 9% to 15%.
Wow, that's okay.
All the way up to 18%. Then there was another doctor I was introduced to, and that doctor's name is Dr. Brooke Goldner, who had actually lupus and stage 4 kidney disease, but reversed it.
His own, okay.
Her own.
Oh, her own, okay.
Brooke Goldner.
Okay.
You can look her up, but she reversed her lupus and kidney disease and is free of it now by hypernourishing. So all she does, or all she tells her patients to do, is it's basically 2 big shakes a day, but it's a shake based with water and vegetables, and that's all that you're eating. And everything pretty much is raw vegetables. It's not fun.
Yeah.
I mean, for people who don't like that stuff, but
it keeps things simple though.
It
right?
keeps it simple, man.
that's
And
good.
it's one of those things that I've adapted this thing where it's just like I start my day with my shake. I have a shake at night. I eat clean now. I don't drink anymore.
You're eating meals in between those shakes though?
Yeah, but it's all vegetable stuff.
Okay.
I try to eat as clean as possible. I mean, I do have a problem when it comes to, I did have a food addiction that, I've never really talked about this, but I have definitely had a food addiction where, when people talk about eating their feelings and stuff, it's real.
For sure.
And I think that food addiction actually probably attributed to, my kidney disease as well, because I was eating so much processed food, junk food, fast food, and then also drinking, like that in itself. So now, all of that said, I'm sick, during this time, just getting diagnosed. And I remember going through just some old songs of mine. I found this folder of old songs in my Dropbox. And these were songs that were supposed to be the follow-up to my Larry G debut EP, Weekends. And I was like, man, I haven't released any of these songs. And it was during my walks, because I have to do like 20 or 15 to 20,000 steps a day.
I'm at 10 to 15.
I
talk about that every
love
morning, man.
that. Yeah.
Get my mind
so
right.
For me, it's to help me, because when you get in the condition that I'm in, you can't necessarily do the physical things like,
high intensity stuff.
High intensity.
Zone 2 is the way to go for longevity.
So I've found that just walking is helped so much. But during these walks that I was listening to these songs, and then I remember thinking it would be good to do this, but I had to talk to Bo Bedford to get his blessing. And it was
the producer, right?
The producer, co-songwriter. Yeah. And it was during that time that I got a call from him out of the blue. And he was calling just to check up on me. How are you doing? And for me, I felt like it was a sign from God, or the universe, or whatever people believe in. And I just told him about the thing. And he was like, I would love it if you release a song. So I was like, I talked to my doctor, and I remember this is Dr. McDougall. And I asked him, I was talking about my condition, and he's like, hey man, it's not going to get any better. This is going to be as good as it's going to get. If your kidney function gets any better, it'll maybe get to 20. He's like, he was like, if I were you, Larry, he was like, I would do what makes you happy. He said, I would, do something that you love, do what makes you happy. And right then and there, I was like, I'm going to do this music thing. So I basically took those songs and started releasing them as if they were new again. Got some love from the local radio station here. And in May of this year, I released it was fun. It was so crazy. It was the day that I was diagnosed. I had an EP release show and I released the EP that same day.
That's crazy.